It's overreaction Monday. The end of the regular season is here. Tony Tucker is with me. I'm Joe Morley. It's Black Monday in the NFL. If you guys don't know what that is, a lot of coaches around the NFL getting axes. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Sean McVay. We're going to talk about the best coaching spot in the NFL. And we're going to break down some of the playoff teams. And is Aaron Rodgers finally going to step away? We'll find out all that. But Tony, I'm freaking out now. Tony, I'm freaking as well. All right, Tony. I was just addressing my TikTok followers that are live over there, telling them to come on over to MJT Football. If you guys are on MJT Football on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us out a lot. But a lot of things going on. A lot of Week 18 lived up to the excitement, Tony, especially last night's game with the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. But how are you doing today, Tony?
I'm frustrated for many, many reasons. Took a huge L in Week 18 in fantasy playoffs. Took an L in the Pick'ems challenge. Mike Williams back. Got all jacked up over there. We may or may not talk about that during this show. Overall, though, I'm doing great. I have an amazing life. Nothing seriously to complain about. All the entertainment stuff is it's sitting with me a little bit on this Monday morning, but I'm excited.
Well, it's okay. You lost your fantasy championship, so you're not happy about that, but you're happy that the Chargers are making the playoffs, right?
Yep.
And then we got Harrison in the house. Good morning, Harrison. He's saying good morning to both of us. Andreas, he's saying Brady to the Raiders. Lock it in. Andreas already putting that out there. So for teams that didn't make the playoffs, like my team, we already started. We got offseason talk. We don't care about the playoffs. Playoffs, Tony. We got offseason stuff. We got other things to worry about, like who's going to play quarterback for the Raiders next year, while you're worried about losing fantasy championships and the Chargers playing the Jaguars this weekend.
Harrison, what's funny is the season does end on a good note for the Panthers, but it can easily be a sour note if they don't give this job to Steve Wilks. Like, they're just moving in a good direction, and they could have built some continuity going into the offseason with Steve Wilks, who's been there for a little bit now, while the rest of the division is kind of falling apart or uncertainty, right? Like, heard a report from Albert Breer this morning where Todd Bowles could be in trouble depending on how the first round of the playoffs goes, and if Tom Brady does what Andreas has locked in already, Tom Brady to the Raiders. That's another spot where there's limbo. We don't know what's going on with the Saints and Dennis Allen and Sean Payton and that whole situation. Like, the Panthers need to 1,000%, I think, lock in Steve Wilks, and then they have a leg up on the competition. The only thing that I was sad about in that game, Harrison, was why are you shoving people in the face mask, Foreman? You had your best season as a pro this year. Like, don't end it like that. I know you're frustrated and you don't want to be head slapped by a ogre, by a big giant Davenport in the head, but that was a kind of a shitty way to end the season. Joker, what's going on? Time to head down to the house.
Brandon just said Caleb Williams to the Raiders in 2024. I can't take another losing season, Brandon. I'm not going to wait for that one. Harrison, I'm with Tony on that. What was Foreman thinking? I understand that you took the slap to the head, but I never understand why NFL players sock each other's helmets, Tony. Those hurt. Helmets hurt. You can break your hand. You can do whatever you want, but you had a great season with the Carolina Panthers. And of course, they want you back. Don't ruin something at the end of the season over another stupid player. Don't react to him. But it is what it is. Yeah, I got a lot of you guys on TikTok. Come on over to YouTube. We're talking over here. Andreas, I'm trying to read your comment at the same time. Of course, my Chargers found a way to sabotage themselves going into the playoffs, praying for Mike Williams to be healthy. That we will get to. Trust me, we will get to Staley. I know Tony wants to. That's part of Overreaction Monday. But we don't want to get there yet. We want to go we want to go to where actual teams are overreacting, Tony. We want to start with Black Monday. This is fired coaches. There's already, just today, Tony, there's 5 opening spots in the NFL, and there could be more, right? So Arizona, Denver, Texans, Carolina Panthers, and the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts. Those are your 5 teams right now. Who overreacted firing their coach so far?
The biggest overreaction, and Joe, I'll control the YouTube chat if you want to take care of your TikTok on that end. I can help you out. I would say the biggest and worst move of any firing whatsoever is the Texans and what they did with Lovie Smith. And we saw it on display in the final game. They go out and the team is competing to the bitter end, albeit against a very bad Colts team that also is looking for coaching. It has questions at quarterback, has questions on defense. When I look at what the Texans did, what they built, and the young players that they have, and they brought in there's some talent on the team, and they're talking about establishing culture. You can't fire David Culley in less than a calendar year and then fire Lovie Smith in less than a calendar year and expect to establish anything good there. What kind of free agents are you going to draw to a situation? What kind of head coaches are you going to draw to a situation where it's like, hey, if this thing goes sideways in year 1, I could get the boot? You expected them under David Culley to have like no early round picks, take Davis Mills, have no other solution at the most important position on a football team, and expect them to do good. And then Lovie Smith comes in, and the team was competitive. It wasn't like they were a complete and total, dumpster fire there. The team was in a ton of really good games. So to me, the Texans completely lost it. I'll let you respond to that, and then we can talk about the Arizona situation.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with the Houston Texans. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I don't know why they fired Lovie Smith. Why? This is 2 years in a row that you had one head coach for 1 year and got rid of him. David Culley should have never got that job, so we understand what he was doing, right? But Lovie Smith comes in here, has the team playing hard against some of these top playoff teams, and then at the end of the season, at the last game of the year, could have lost that game, but look how hard his team was playing for him. Look how hard they went out there and played. He went for 2. Yeah, they cost himself the first. I mean, we can get to that question in a minute, Tony, of what would you rather your team have the number 1 overall pick, or would you rather them go out there fighting the last week of the season and get the number 2 pick? Me personally, I like when my team is out there fighting and ready to go and giving us hope for next season. And that's what I thought they had. I thought Lovie Smith was like, boom, look at going in the next season. I got this team ready to go. And it don't matter if we have the number 1 pick, number 2 pick. And then the next day, you're like, Lovie Smith, or not even the next day, like a couple hours later, you're fired. Bye. Get out of here. We're going to go after somebody else. Houston Texans is a mess. Tony, even if they offered me the job right now, I'd be like, probably not. I don't want to go down there. Why? I'm going to uproot out my whole family, take them down to Houston, and then you're going to fire us a year later? It's the worst organization. You're having a hard time even getting players to go down there because of the past history with the owner and stuff like that. So nobody wants that Houston job, and they had one guy that was doing a great job, and they ruined it. That's overreaction down there in Houston.
Yeah, and so they're gonna bring in a new coach, and that coach is gonna say, all right, the first thing we need to address is quarterback. What free agent quarterback is gonna want to come to Houston? None? None of them want to go there? So then you're gonna draft a rookie, you're gonna put him out there with an offensive line that might have some questions. Like you're gonna go draft Bryce Young, who's a little bit smaller, and then he's going to potentially have to go through a David Carr situation where he could be sacked 70 times in his rookie season. He's not going to make it through that healthy. He's not going to have a good time out there and be successful and get good reps under his belt. The Texans are just in a really, really bad spot, right? I think also the other team that's in a terrible spot is the Colts, because you have another situation where you have over-reactionary owners, these billionaires making crazy decisions, and Jim Irsay is in the same spot. You fired Frank Reich, and you expect to have some sort of consistency there. When you go through 5 starting quarterbacks in 5 seasons and you just keep reaching on stuff, bringing in Phillip Rivers, he was the best person that they brought in to that organization, had the most wins, was competitive in a playoff game. Matt Ryan, we saw Nick Foles, we've seen Sam Ellinger, we've seen Jacoby Brissett, we've seen all of these things. They're just chasing the unfortunate early retirement of Andrew Luck. And now you have a situation where if you're a head coach, do you want to go to Indianapolis? Probably not. Like, I could see maybe Jim Harbaugh agreeing to go to the Indianapolis Colts if he knows for sure, like, hey, you're going to let me draft a quarterback, and then I'm going to be in that situation for at least 2 seasons. You're going to let me go get, Will Levis or somebody like that in the first round that I think that I can have in build a real team around. Because they do have defensive talent, and they do have Jonathan Taylor, which I think Jim Harbaugh would love to build a team around that running game that they have. So, like, I look at the Colts as a complete and total mess, but at least they have some veteran talent that's attracting down there. Like, you go to Houston, it is a lot of young talent, and you're not going to be able to attract veterans in that situation. You have veterans that you can lean on, veteran talent you can lean on with Indianapolis. So it's a little less of a mess, but still the owner makes that job, that position, very undesirable if I'm a head coach.
Yeah, and we'll break down in what teams I like better in just a few minutes, Tony. So just it's crazy. Do you foresee? So we already have the 5 openings, right? We just talked about it. We said it. We both agree Houston screwed up. We both agree that Houston overreacted and should have kept Lovie Smith at least for another season. All right. So do you foresee any other teams opening up their jobs within the next week or so?
Within the next week or so? Yeah, for sure.
Or, even at the end of the season, like, okay, there's 5 openings right now. By the end of the season, by the end of the playoffs, should there be any more?
Yes. And I think Dallas is going to have an opening by next Monday. Next Monday night, as soon as that game is over, we're all going to be talking about, like, on Tuesday morning, is Sean Payton notifying everybody that he's interviewing with the Dallas Cowboys. I also think that a complete and total flop by the Chargers is going to raise some questions about what's going on and decisions that are being made, because this is back-to-back Week 18s for Brandon Staley that have had some questions surrounding them. With a chance to go to the playoffs against the Raiders a year ago, there's the whole timeout situation. Should he have called it? What was going on there? And then on top of it now, if they go down and lay an egg without Mike Williams in this game, to me, it's not as much on Brandon Staley as it is on the fact that they need to get out of the Joe Lombardi business. And if Cliff Kingsbury does want to stay in the NFL, you know that Cliff would come and be able to be a solid offensive coordinator with Justin Herbert in all of the pieces that are there. Like, the offense you would get more out of it than what you got out of it this year.
Yeah.
So I look at the landscape. What's Washington going to do, Joe? Why would Washington stick around in that situation? You're going to get new ownership, whatever it is. Like, you don't want to have that there. We don't know what's going to happen with the Saints. Like, that situation. The Browns are used to making hasty decisions. I know they fired the defensive coordinator, but who's to say that they don't reach out and Jim Harbaugh goes, hey, I'm interested in coming and coaching in Cleveland with that running game that they have there and Deshaun Watson at quarterback? Like, I'd be interested. They might give the boot to Stefanski.
Yeah, and I want to say what's up to Gerald Ross in the chat. He's a Broncos fan. He said he comes to peace with that his team sucking, but they finished strong, so he's looking forward to that. Stephen Armstrong in the chat. Albert Murray Quinn. Thank you guys for all joining us. Let us know what you guys think is your team's going to do in the comments as well. Also, if you guys are new to this program, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. But Tony, what about this other team, the Miami Dolphins? We heard rumors before that if they didn't make the playoffs, they might move on, right? And might move on from McDaniels. But what if they lose this round? Because hey, congratulations, you made the playoffs, but you get the Buffalo Bills. Go play the Buffalo Bills, and you're probably not going to have Tua.
They're not beating the Bills. I don't know what's the thought is there, but I don't see that game being really all that close. Maybe there's some fight in the first half, but they're outmatched talent-wise. And even with Tua, which I think it would be a huge mistake for Tua to get back on the field this season. There's just too much at risk. The potential of a fourth concussion in one season would be bad news. I think Tua's already done enough to ensure himself getting a contract extension, potentially maybe even this offseason. Like, I know it's a little premature, but if he signs for less than like these crazy max contracts, like if he just says, hey, give me a contract extension with a certain, maybe a lower level guarantee, go out and get that money for your family now while you're still healthy enough to make that happen. I think the only way the Miami job is available is if Sean Payton and Tom Brady are conspiring and they say, hey, let's both go link up in for the Dolphins. Otherwise, why would you move on from McDaniel? You'd have a better shot of another compulsive owner, Stephen Ross, going, let me spend money and bring you a quarterback in this situation. Who do you want to run this offense? And I think Jimmy would then be in the conversation for him too. I think Jimmy would be in the conversation for him saying, hey, he knows the offense. He knows everything we're doing. Let's bring in Jimmy G to Miami, and he'll be able to make these easy reads. But, like, would you fire McDaniel for anybody but Sean Payton?
No, I probably wouldn't even fire McDaniel for Sean Payton, to be honest.
I wouldn't either, but I'm saying from an ownership standpoint.
No, I wouldn't. I would keep him. I think he's doing a great job. I think you could build off of him and see what he did. But dang, he came in here and did an excellent job. I don't understand. Like, he got you to the playoffs, and now you're just gonna go out there and dump him. Come on. And he's doing it with Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson, and come on. I like what McDaniel's doing, and give him another offseason. Look at there's a lot good with that team. I don't want to go down into that team, but no, I would not fire McDaniels. And if he did fire McDaniels, I think he gets snatched up quickly.
Yeah, there's one last thing before we move on topics and coaches and whatever. This is because Harrison's here and he's one of the best people in the chat every week, and he's talking about David Tepper and the Carolina situation, whatever. I really believe when I look at the roster, Carolina might have the best position to come in as long as they do the quarterback position right. Like, really figure out what veteran could be available for trade or to start the season with next year. Figure out how to get that guy in the building, and then also figure out what's going on with Matt Corral. Can he play? Can he be a solid backup and somebody that could be being groomed, in tandem with the offensive coordinator, and starting off the season and seeing if you can't put together a bunch of wins behind that defense and that running game. I don't necessarily know that I would go into another season with Sam Darnold, although he had his moments this year. Yeah. I would be looking for somebody in that, is Ryan Tannehill available for trade this offseason? Can they get into the Derek Carr sweepstakes? Is Geno Smith somebody that they might be? I wouldn't go any lower than that area. Do the Lions look to make a move? I don't think they will after last night's win, but can you get somebody in that area where we view as fans sort of that 15 to 20 range at quarterback? Can you get somebody from there? Yeah. Maybe Carolina is aggressive enough and they say, hey, Baltimore, you franchise tag Lamar Jackson and things are getting ugly. We'll give up some draft picks to bring in Lamar Jackson and sort of create a Baltimore South for the Carolina Panthers. That right there, that's a team. You add Lamar Jackson to that team. We're talking, NFC championship.
Don't leave Harrison, because we'll break this down a little bit more when we get into the best coaching spots in just a few minutes. I just have one thing to get to before we get there, Tony, as we're talking about Black Friday and fired coaches, but what about coaches that might step away and Sean McVay and the rumor there? And look, we could also bring in, I don't know if he's ready to go, but we could also bring in your friend, NFL.
Hi.
Yeah, put Mike where he belongs. Over
I want to talk about. I
Mike gets the number one spot.
I came just to talk about LA, man. That's it.
Do you want to start on Sean McVay?
Sure. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do here. McVay obviously flirted with this last year, I should say last offseason, going to the booth, doing commentary, walking away from football. And he's probably looking back at this season and what's happened and is probably thinking I should have just pulled the trigger then, because I think that he was closer than what was led to believe. Otherwise, why would you be close? Like, yes, teams are going to have roller coasters. You're going to go up, you're going to go down. If you win a Super Bowl, you know that within the next couple of years, unless you're some kind of superhuman team like the Patriots had, you're probably going to have some dark times to rebuild back to go into the Super Bowl again. So I just don't see that the change being a bad season from last offseason to this offseason. He probably was thinking about it more than he liked to lead on last offseason, and then this season kind of just confirmed it for him that he's thinking about stepping down. I mean, you guys saw the press conference. He does not seem like a guy that wants to make any promises at being out on the football field with the Rams next year. And I wonder what that means for the rest of the Rams roster. Are they just going to have a fire sale? Are they going to try and bring in another coach and try and hold it all together? Matthew Stafford is adamant that he is not retiring. What are they going to do? I don't know. I mean, what's your guys' thoughts?
So this is what I think happened. I think Sean McVay reached out to players like Aaron Donald, who were on the fence about retiring, and in his mind was the opportunity to join a very short list of coaches who won back-to-back Super Bowls. And now that that is off the table and he's sitting in front of a massive rebuild when they completely sold out everything to get the one Super Bowl, which is great. He's going to go down as one of the best, most influential coaches of this time period and generation, right? Like, he's already done that. You go to 2 Super Bowls by the time you're 36 and you win one of them, that's fantastic. And in which he did it. He was having to choreograph things with a new quarterback in a COVID time when it was like everything was being done via Skype and Zoom meetings, and you couldn't even be in the same area and you had to worry about all these things. That makes that much more impressive. But he doesn't want to come back to a rebuild and you don't know what's going on. There's a lot of questions about Matthew Stafford. I could see a scenario in which they do start to break off and trade a bunch of players. Jalen Ramsey, let's go. And then Aaron Donald is shipped off somewhere else. And then Matthew Stafford, he's from the state of Texas. The Texans need a quarterback. Who's the coach that goes there? Is there a situation, like I said, with Jim Harbaugh where there can start to be some excitement created around there? They do have good wide receivers. Like John Mechie's going to be potentially a solid wide receiver. Nico Collins has shown flashes in this. So we could see him say, hey, I'll go down there, play a season, for this team. Maybe that this is the way that they start a rebuild. And I've heard some stuff where Sean Payton's going to take a year off, Sean McVay's going to take a year off and then come back to the team or whatever. I don't think that works. I don't think you can just say, hey, Raheem Morris, you want to step in and babysit this squad for a year of bankrupt football? Will I hang out and do whatever I want? I think he steps away for a year or two, starts a beautiful family with the wife, does a little TV appearances and whatever else, gets the itch, and realizes, hey, there's an organization with a good spot and I can have the pick of the litter and I'll come back at that point. And the Rams will be able to maybe get more draft picks if Sean McVay is still under contract. I think that's more likely than him returning to LA. Like, he sits out a year, things go sideways. He doesn't really have to move back again. Right back in. I'm not using the cup for everything, but Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Sean McVay. There it is. Now all of a sudden he doesn't even have to change his zip code. There we go. I
It's like,
do
an,
know.
it's like an elephant graveyard over there, and we're just taking the last few survivors.
Yeah. And then
What more does Sean McVay have to prove? There's nothing else. And this is where we see players, coaches, where they hit the peak of their career, and for the coaching is winning the Super Bowl, right? And then there's nothing else to go but down. So continuing to coach a horrible team that has nothing left in it, Tony, that has nothing over there, is only going to tarnish his record than make it better, right? There's nothing that's going to go. There's nothing that Sean McVay can do that we can go, okay, he's already a better coach than he is. We are, in our mind, Sean McVay is a good coach. And if unless he goes the next 4 or 5 seasons and they just do nothing but lose, then we're just like, oh, he had 1 lucky season or 2 lucky seasons, right? So it's better for him to just walk away and be that personality guy, basically like John Gruden did after he walked away from Tampa Bay. But John Gruden actually lost him. But when John Gruden went to the Monday Night Football, everybody loved John Gruden, and you built him up. Sean McVay would be a bigger star than what John Gruden ever was on Monday Night Football, because Sean McVay can break down film, and he could. If you ever hear him when he could tell you a play that happened 4 or 5 years ago, what down it was, how much time was on the clock, and everything, who was on the field. His memory is just unbelievable, and I think Sean McVay has already talked to most of his players, and he's realizing, okay, he's coming back, he's not coming back. Okay, we're gonna have this much salary cap. We're probably gonna have to trade him and him. Do I really want this? And then Matthew Stafford, you're gonna have to deal with another year of injuries if he does come back. If who's gonna be the quarterback, who's not, and do you have enough to get that offensive lineman? No, I think McVay knows, and he goes, hey, I'm good where I'm at. 37, 36 years old. I'm walking away, getting money to still play or be involved in the game that I love, and I don't have to coach. So I think the Rams job will be open. His offensive coordinator, how many coaches has Sean McVay lost? And he's going to lose another one. The offensive coordinator this year is thinking about going to Kentucky to take a job. So he might have to start over there. So, and then I don't know. Does Raheem Morris, does he get head coaching vacancies? Does he go and interview? So he's good enough there. So he's going to have to start with the coaching staff too. I think we finally see, and I know we heard the rumors, but I texted you guys yesterday. When they ask you, when they ask the coach, are you staying? Are you staying? Most coaches, what did Lovie Smith said? He said, absolutely, I believe I'm coming back. 2 hours later, bye. What did Sean McVay say when he was asked? Well, we'll talk about that at a later time. To me, right there, that tells me I'm leaving.
Well, I think that you're dealing with 2 different situations too, where you have you have one coach who has options, who very public options, and another coach who is just like, I love coaching ball and I'm happy to be here and I love this group of guys. So yeah, I'm absolutely committed to coming back here because his options are limited. And I just got a text message too. Cooper Kupp felt left out, so we'll see you there.
We got a number 10 jersey with your name on it already. But yeah, there's a process that you go through every single season in the NFL, especially, but playing football at any level. And you got to almost love that process as much as you love winning, to be able to withstand doing it year after year after year after year after year for your entire life. And if people forget, Sean McVay coached for 7, 8, 10 years before he even got a head coaching job. So it's grueling. It's grueling. And a guy with, like you said, with a family, with offers on the table, I think that's another big part. There's offers on the table to come and do commentary. It's not like he doesn't know where he's going next. I think that changes everything in the mind of a coach that already won the Super Bowl.
And we'll just throw it out there now. Sean McVay, there's always room for you at MJT if you want to come on over.
Yeah, we can offer a lucrative deal.
So here's the thing, is that
we won't even ask you to show up on time to anything.
Some of these people understand the entertainment side of this business, and Sean McVay is one of those people. Somebody like Lovie Smith is a football lifer. It's a job. It's their career. It's what they'll do. But there are a lot of these, and especially the younger generation, and it kind of started with Gruden. They understood about creating a persona that branched beyond, right? It was what Madden did when he went to the booth, maybe even a little bit of Bill Cowher, but not really Bill Cowher. It's just kind of like the scowl that was there. Creating something that's becomes bigger than what you do as a football coach is smart. It's branding. It's leaning in to, hey, I'm more than just a guy who calls plays and shows up and yells funny curse words at NFL football players.
Yeah.
So if Sean McVay steps away, we have the 5 openings already, and then possibly more. Right, Tony? That leads us into our next topic. The best coaching spots in the NFL.
I already said the Panthers is probably my favorite spot. Like if I was a coach and I talked with, because David Tepper's got money, I feel like he's not afraid to really throw it around. You have to, that's funny. I think the Panthers is the one that I like the best because you have to factor in division, who's there, what's the quarterback situation like. If you're telling me that you're going to go to the Broncos and you're going to play Herbert twice a year and you're going to play Mahomes twice a year, and then you could potentially get Tom Brady, like it's an option, it's a realistic option for 2 games, at least for a season, maybe 2 seasons there. I don't really love that. You're telling me that there could be an opening for the Rams, the Cardinals jobs, and now I have to deal with the 49ers? That's not going away. The Seahawks, they rebuilt on a dime. I don't want to deal with that mess either. So as I look around at the vacancies, I look around as the AFC South, there's an opportunity there. In the NFC South, there's opportunities there. So the jobs that I like the best, it's going to sound really weird, is the Panthers. I can't say it. I can't say it out loud. I can't say it with a straight face. I need to think about it more. But I think the Panthers is probably the job that I would go for if I was a head coach. I think just based on the talent that's there.
Yeah, I think I agree with that too because you already got a built-in defense. You got wide receivers. You even got a tight end coming up in Tommy Tremble. The O-line can use some help. You just really need to plug in a quarterback there and have a good scheme, and the Panthers can turn it around and become a playoff team next year. So I think the Panthers are the best available spot, but there are some spots that could open up that would be better, like Los Angeles Chargers, Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Buccaneers possibly. There's some places that could open up that would be a better destination just because it's already a built team ready to win. Add or subtract a few pieces. Joe, do you have any ideas? The Raiders would be a great coaching destination if they had a coaching vacancy.
They should. Anyways, I'm kind of with Tony about the Carolina Panthers. I like what they're doing, but it also makes me wonder, like, what kind of head coach would want to go there because they seem like they need a solid head coach, somebody that's going to run that franchise back. And then you look at all the other openings, like Arizona, the Colts, the Texans. Those have owner problemship. Those, like, we haven't heard it as much in Arizona lately. But remember, the Bidwells have always been bad owners. They've always not been the greatest owners. So then you have to worry about them. I think depending on the openings, and then same thing with the Broncos. Now they have the new ownership there. How are they going to be? Are they going to be involved? They want to win now. But I think, I don't know. And Tony's right. Tony's correct. You got to look at it. If you're a coach, you got to look at who you're playing every game. And you don't want to go to the AFC West, and you don't want to play Patrick Mahomes because you don't want to be the Bronco coach. You don't want to be the Rams because then you got to play the Niners and all them. You don't want to do that. You want to go to one of these crappier divisions, which is the AFC South or the NFC South, and you want to be able to win and compete right away. Every team has a little bit of good in them, right? Like the Colts are almost there. You got a running back. You need a quarterback, and you need a little bit on defense, and you're good. The Broncos, great, solid defense. There you go. But I think I think it depends on the coach going there. But I think the Panthers, Tony, need a coach like Frank Wright or something like that better than they need a coach like Sean Payton or something like that. I think they need to go out one of these lower coaches to stabilize that franchise, basically just like Jacksonville did this year.
I think that Jim Harbaugh will be good in Carolina if he's going to leave Michigan. You're going to have the number 9 overall pick, and you can do what you want with that. You can use that to trade for a quarterback that you want or draft a quarterback that you want. And then Carolina could be off to the races in a couple years. The team is ready as far as talent-wise. And the defense is young. That's what's got to intrigue you the most. They're not just good. They're young. They're going to be together for 2-3 years.
Yeah, they really do have a nice defense. I can't think of who's the Frank Duva. Who's the Harrison? Help me out. There's like a linebacker on the Panthers that every time I watch, I'm like, this guy's just making plays. I'm blanking on his name, but it's a fun name, and he's a really good young player too. This is the other team I was going to say, but it's just so hard for me to say it with like a straight face. But I think that the potential of going to the Texans is appealing, and let me make a case for it. The expectations are super low, right? It's completely a blank slate. Didn't they get picks back for Deshaun Watson?
They're selecting at 12th and 2nd.
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity there to go in and build it. The problem is just the uncertainty of the ownership. That to me is the biggest issue. But I think that would be the next spot, or the Colts, because the Colts, if you can align with Jim Irsay on what the direction is for the quarterback position, if you can say enough of this getting older, guys, we've identified our guy, we're taking this player in the draft, and then we're also going to go ahead and in the second round, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get a wide receiver. We're going to get – I know Addison's probably not going to make it into the second round, so maybe if you want to make Addison that caliber college wide receiver your first-round pick, you can make a big difference to your offense. Like this, look at what Chris Olave did for the Saints offense. Imagine if they had a healthy Mike Thomas the entire year. The Saints would have been a different team. Olave could have been a more dangerous piece than he already was if he wasn't being targeted every week as the number one option in that offense. But if I look at like a team like the Atlanta Falcons, we saw in the final 3 weeks of the season, Drake London wasn't the issue. The issue was he didn't have a quarterback who's willing to throw him the damn football. And now all of a sudden, like, just go look at the numbers that Drake London put up over the last 3-4 weeks of the season. Like he's a good player. It gives me optimism for a guy like Kyle Pitts that you can have a quarterback like Desmond Ridder who's like, oh, I understand how this works. I need to get the ball to these playmakers with the best efficiency that I can and make some shit happen. So Mike mentioned the Bucs job being an attractive one if it potentially opened. My only pushback with that would be no Tom Brady. So you got a quarterback issue. And then the defense, it has aging veterans and a lot of free agents on it. So you'd be getting back like Carlton Davis is like the only one. But I think you got to figure out linebacker situation, like paying some people that could be leaving for free agency. Which ones do you do? I think the defense could continually be going this direction from where it was the Super Bowl season. That's the only pushback. It's still a decent job.
Yeah, and location obviously also comes into play. It's a perfect location, Tampa. Yeah, I just feel like if I'm a head coach personally, I'll never be in this situation. So I'll never understand what coaches want to see or don't want to see for destinations. And I'm actually a sought-out guy like a Sean Payton or a Jim Harbaugh, someone that's going to be basically picking my spot. I think I personally would want to be able to choose my quarterback unless it was, like you said, Tom Brady. So I think that the QB vacancies around the league kind of could even be more convincing to teams to come in that there is no one there and that you have a draft pick or you have trade assets, whatever you want to do to pick which guy you want, coach. We're going to help build around you. And that's what I think if I was Sean Payton, I would be looking for. There is a lot of situations where it's just already hand-built for you, though, like a Justin Herbert, going into Los Angeles, taking over for the Chargers or something like that. Interesting.
Well, I got one more for you guys that I've been thinking about. I personally been thinking about. I think I threw it to you guys before. Is a team that started out 0-2, then they went on a 7-game winning streak, was 7-2, and then lost the rest of their games, and that's the Tennessee Titans and Mike Vrabel. And they just got rid of their GM, so if a new GM coming in there might want to go, and so the Tennessee Titans might be a spot that I would think it would be a mistake if they do fire him, but it could be something that they could move on from.
Yeah, I think that would be a mistake also. Mike Vrabel is one of those situations where they say the phrase, the team becomes the coach. That team has become like a living embodiment of Mike Vrabel. And if they get rid of him, it's going to go a completely different direction, I think.
They're so tough. Like the fact that they were that close with Josh Dobbs, who was there on 3 weeks' notice. And really, if the offensive coordinator doesn't call a straight drop back on that play without just that play call, I think to me has to have Mike Vrabel sitting around swirling a nice, aged bourbon in a glass going, what the were you thinking, Downing? What were you doing calling that play in that situation with 3 minutes to go in the game? And we have Derrick Henry. Just take a knee. You would have just take a knee and punt the freaking ball. Straight drop back with a quarterback who's been there since, Christmas Eve. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm not saying Vrabel is the problem. I'm saying what happened is when you bring in a new GM, sometimes they want to bring in their own coaching staff, and that would be the only thing. So I do have an issue. Okay, I'm going to call an audible right now, Tony, and I'm going to go in a different direction, and we're going to do this. If the Tennessee Titans keep Mike Vrabel, there's one position that they might need to look at, and that's the quarterback position. And one guy that could be stepping away, Aaron. Do you think he's walking away from the game, or he's looking for a new team? You saw last night where somebody asked for Aaron Rodgers' jersey, and he said, "Nah, I'm keeping this one."
It was Jameson Williams. Yeah. They cut out the part where Jameson Williams says, "Come on, man, you promised."
He promised him?
That's what Jameson Williams said. Like as Aaron Rodgers is like, "No, I'm keeping this one," and he starts walking away. And then you hear Jameson Williams like, "Come on, man, you promised me." Like off in the distance.
Oh, man.
I wonder where they worked that out on. Like,
I don't know.
Like some sort of
pre-game. Jameson just walks up to him and goes, "Hey, you want to do a jersey swap?" And Rodgers did this.
I think Aaron Rodgers feels like he's played his last game in Green Bay, but possibly not the NFL, right? Like retirement's definitely on the table with anybody who's played that long, who's that sort of worldly. Like that's always been the issue with Aaron Rodgers is that he has so many more interests outside of football. He's not Tom Brady. He's not a gym rat. He's not Peyton Manning that's just crushing film in the offseason that lives for it the way they do. And so I think he is also very sentimental to the idea that that's the jersey I wore in my last game in Lambeau, whether it's a loss or not. This is something that's important to me that I'm just not ready to let go of that yet. I do think Tennessee is a nice, attractive spot for him, depending on what happens with the offensive line, because I think that's the downfall of the Titans. And the Titans would have been this division winner had they not suffered so many injuries to the offensive line. Like you can draw correlations to massive drop-offs in teams' outcomes or their expectation on how healthy the offensive line was, depending on who the quarterback was. Like, do you think the Bucs would have been 8-9 this year if they didn't lose their entire starting offensive line? I don't think so. That's unthinkable to me. They're at least a 10-win team if you don't lose Ryan Jensen in the first game of the season or the preseason. I forget when it was.
Can't.
The outcome for the Los Angeles Chargers, losing their left tackle, losing Corey Linsley for multiple games this year, it has an effect on it. The Titans, what they lost this year, backup centers, backup left tackles, like those things just take a toll on what you can do offensively in the run game, in the pass game. So the Titans, to me, Aaron Rodgers goes to the best situation with wide receiver and offensive line. And I wouldn't rule out your Raiders, Joe. I wouldn't rule on him saying, "Hey, you guys need a quarterback. I can work well with Devontae Adams. We already know that's a Hall of Fame connection there. So why not pony up and bring me out to the desert for 1 year? Plenty of ayahuasca trips to Joshua Tree when you're that close to the desert."
Exactly.
And me as a Raider fan, I could tolerate Aaron Rodgers more than I could tolerate Tom Brady. I'm telling you that right now. Real Raider fans have a hard time with you going, we're bringing Tom Brady in, and like even though he'll be our quarterback, and we'll be like, okay, cool, he's our quarterback, and maybe we'll win with him, but it's still like Tom Brady, like as a Raider fan, you just have to get over that, and that'd be a tough pill to swallow. With Aaron Rodgers, you can be like, okay, I can deal with Aaron Rodgers. The only thing I'm seeing is with Aaron Rodgers is his contract. His contract that he signed, because he just signed that new contract to start last year, is a 3-year. And for them to be able to trade him or move him, he's going to have to kind of rework that just a little bit because he has so much guaranteed money. I think if they were trying to cut him or try to trade him, it'd be like $66 million hit or something like that because it's all fully guaranteed. It was 3 years fully guaranteed. So I think. But then again, I also think that Aaron Rodgers loves the spotlight. I think he loves because every year, like you saw, did you see the pictures of him and Randall Cobb walking up the tunnel? Like it was sad, like just me and you, or this is the end. I think he likes to play with the Green Bay Packers and the fans and the organization to be like, okay, how much you guys want me back next year? Because I want to come back, but I want to play a little bit hard to get.
Yeah, I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers, I can almost see it right now, is going to have, for about a 2 to 3 year time period after his retirement, one of the most interesting podcasts that you've ever seen. It'll be him in some cool studio where he's like smoking weed and maybe doing a little microdosing of mushrooms and getting into philosophical debates and stuff. Like he's going to have intrigue. And Joe, you're right. He's understands the showmanship side of the entertainment and the NFL. Like he's very smart. He's very cognizant of everything that's going on around him at all times. He is an intellectual who's really good at football. And I think a lot of times that football players get lost into sort of being dumb guy, meathead who just bash their brains in over and over again.
Baker.
I'm you guys know my feelings about Aaron Rodgers. I can't wait for Aaron Rodgers to not be a Packer. I really hope that was his last game. Aaron Rodgers ruined the Green Bay Packers for me, but Aaron Rodgers, the person, I think would be so much fun to sit down and debate life, have a drink with, talk about like the craziest, space, aliens, life, death, whatever it is. Like he'd be somebody really fun to engage with on an intellectual standpoint. I think I could talk to Aaron Rodgers for 2 days before we even talk about football. And I don't think that there's a lot of guys in the NFL that would be as much fun for me to sit down and talk about crazy life and conspiracies with for a long period of time.
If he wants aliens, Area 51, right? Like you've been showing your cup off, Tony. I've been showing mine off. Mine's probably a little bit more.
Yeah, it looks like an accurate description.
But this shows true fandomship right here. All you people that want to say you're not a real Raider fan, like look at that right there.
I mean, there are real Raiders fans out there, Joe. They bought tickets still to a game they knew against Kansas City Chiefs was gonna be a stomp out. They showed up to the game. And then they were kicked out of the stadium.
Yeah, they were kicked out.
I don't know what they want. I don't know what they want anymore. But yeah,
did Joe tell you what McDaniel said today?
No, but I have a video loaded up, so I'd love to know.
They asked Josh McDaniels what he learned coaching the Raiders in his first season. And all he said was that the fans are great.
What, bro? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And then Mark Davis, I already told you. I've already told you what Mark Davis said. Mark Davis is upset, and there's a quote out there that Mark Davis is upset that the Raider Stadium is filled with opposing fans. And no shit. Because you're kicking out your own fans. You're tired of Kansas City fans being there, but the one Raider fans that were there, you kicked them out.
Or maybe someone tell Mark about the fucking million Raider fans in Oakland that are still there waiting for their Raiders to return. And
not to mention, they have, whether they wanted to or not, they've been defending Derek Carr for a decade. Don't pick on our quarterback. He's a top 10 guy. Don't whatever. They had this guy's back. And then you basically said, like, get out of here. You threw out their favorite uncle or whatever analogy you want to use. It's like, No.
Oh man! But as far as the trade, moral of the story for Aaron Rodgers, I think that the teams that will be interested in picking up that contract for a very temporary situation are teams that feel they're ready to push the chips in. I mean, it's going to cost you the pick, Joe. Probably going to cost you 7th overall pick. I think the Raiders need that 7th overall pick to continue to build upon the roster.
But if they use that 7th overall pick on a quarterback, they're going to be in trouble anyway.
No, they should sign a veteran quarterback, and they should focus on getting some help to Max Crosby. That should be the focus this offseason, is getting Max Crosby some damn help.
Look, I'm telling you guys, like, I don't know. I troll a lot, but I also consider myself a little bit of a realist Raider fan. I know that defense is our problem. I know that defense, but I've read so many damn articles from Raider fans and Raider writers out there that said the offseason, these are the 3 players we need to go. And you know who they list? All 3 of them are offensive players. What the hell are we thinking? And I guarantee that the Raiders go out there and they draft another Alex Leatherwood, or they draft some offensive guy that we don't need, and it's going to be another long offseason. But they have 11 draft picks. They have Dave Ziegler. I'm hoping that he does his thing and moves up and down the board. But I don't want to get into the Raiders right now because there's so much I can go off on, and
yeah, well,
it's not worth it. It's not worth it. But Mark Davis, okay, let me ask you this before we move on to the playoff team. Going into next season, so next season, if you're running a team and you need a veteran quarterback, who are you bringing in? Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers?
Derek Carr is who I'd be bringing in. Like, honestly, they should have just kept Derek Carr until his contract ended and then drafted a quarterback with a now rebuilt team. But if I'm picking between Rodgers and Brady.
Next year. For next year only, Tony.
Yeah, for a 1 year thing, I'm taking Brady for 2 reasons. One, because he's bringing Rob Gronkowski with him. Like, that's going to happen. Rob took a year off. He's getting antsy. He realizes he's only like 31, 32 years old. And Tommy want Wingy, Tommy want Gronky, and he's coming out of retirement if he goes to the right spot. Can I tell you guys, I have one thing that I think is like a hot take, and one thing that I think is a crazy idea, conspiracy thing. Which one do you want to hear first?
Both.
You didn't pick one. You didn't pick conspiracy or hot take. So I'll go with
hot take.
We're already talking about Tom Brady.
Hold on. Hot take alert!
My hot take alert is that the team from the NFC East that wins the most playoff games this year is the New York Giants. They're going to win 1 game, and that is all the NFC East is going to win this year. Is the New York Giants are going to beat the Vikings. Eagles get bounced after a first-round bye. Cowboys get bounced on a first-round bye. And we are finished with the NFC East. You know how many times this year people jumped in our chats and our shows and was like, NFC East is the best division in football. All 4 teams can go to the playoffs, this, that, whatever. And we were getting made fun of for that. Brian Daboll and the New York Giants, the only team from the NFC East that wins a playoff game this year.
Well, I don't know if that's possible. Wait, I don't think that's possible, Tony.
How?
Because if the Giants win their first round,
yeah,
they'll play the Eagles in the second round. And one of them's got to win.
Well, he's saying that the Giants will win the most games, so he's saying the Giants are going to beat the Eagles.
So the Giants are going to the NFC Championship game. Is the only way this happens. The NFC bracket is wide open. I'm telling you. When you look at it, it could go any which of ways, other than basically the Cowboys going.
The hot take. Mike just put water all over your hot take.
He doused it. He doused it. I didn't do the reshift
round. Yeah.
The next
round is the lowest.
Yeah, because they will be.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Cowboys lose first round to the Buccaneers.
Tampa
I feel like
goes on.
Sorry, Zero, but I'm taking that one to the bank. Like, I just am so positive that that's going to happen.
And then the Giants beat the Vikings.
Yeah, and so the Giants would be the lowest seed left. Yeah.
It'd be 49ers versus Tampa. Bucks. And it would be Eagles versus Giants, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be 2-4, 1-6. Thanks for ruining that for me.
I got you. What was the conspiracy, though?
Either way, Giants second round knockout in the first round bye. Sean Payton gets hired Tom Brady goes to the Dallas Cowboys, and America's team, they join up. They trade Dak Prescott.
I would hate this. This is a terrible scenario.
I'm just
Terrible.
Could you imagine that with Vic Fangio running that defense in Dallas? How great they would probably be. There would be you think the defense is good now? A Vic Fangio defense with those players with Parsons.
They're kind of built for it. My thing is, what would Sean Payton's future look like? Is it just going to go back to retirement after 1 year or 2 years?
Who knows? Maybe he gets to draft. Maybe he gets to draft his guy and build him for a year, and then there it is. They get some trade away Dak. Get some because there'll be a market for Dak Prescott.
This sounds what they did in New Orleans, and then he left and ran away to the hills, Beverly Hills.
Look at this. Harrison wants to join me in a little Chief Infest. I'm not. What I'm saying is,
it is a conspiracy. So you did give us fair warning.
Yeah, I told you guys it's not like there's no rumors. There's no oh, this is a possibility. I'm just saying that if Sean Payton and Tom Brady are destined to play and coach together, Dallas Cowboys.
You can tell the truth, Tony. You can tell the truth, Tony, that that if Sean Payton goes to the Dallas Cowboys, he's going to take that team to the next level, and you don't want to see my boy Dak succeed. That's what you don't want.
I don't have anything wrong with Dak Prescott. I like Dak Prescott a lot.
Yeah, where's Dak going to end up in your conspiracy? Where's Dak going to end up on the freaking Texans?
I think that he would probably be traded to the Colts.
See, this is not good.
Well, and then there's rumors out there now. Have you guys seen the ones about the Bears having the number 1 pick and then moving on from Justin Fields and just go ahead and draft a quarterback? Yeah,
I heard that this morning, and I was like, this is the craziest thing to me because do you guys know how long the Bears have been looking for a quarterback? It's incomputable because it's forever. It's eternity. They've been searching for a quarterback forever. You know what? Get back to work, Chris Kyle.
Yeah.
I tried to do something nice for you in 7, and then you just ruined it. And now I have to buy myself a ring just to commemorate this season.
You know, Tony, I think you deserve 5 bonus points just for constructing the idea and putting it all together and running the whole league the whole season.
Joe's dumbass is the one who told me to put all 3 of us in a final, and now I don't get a belt or a mini belt. Now I don't get shit because I
not my fault you suck at fantasy football.
My fractions of a point.
Okay, we'll talk about playoff teams at another time. I got Tony brought up hot takes, and I got to go pretty soon. I got one hot take.
Let's hear it.
Lamar Jackson to the Dolphins.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that one. That was gonna be my hot take right after yours.
No matter what, it doesn't matter who the coach is. If they keep McDaniels, Lamar Jackson going to the Dolphins.
They should keep Mike McDaniels and let Lamar Jackson run that offense. That would be fun. They would be good. You add in the Lamar stuff, you add in the Lamar formations, and you just run the same offense that you tried to run with Tua, and it'll be great. It'll be phenomenal. As long as Lamar's healthy, it'll be amazing. It'll be fun too. And I think Tua could be a Titan. Or Tua could be a guy that goes to one of these teams that are looking for a quarterback that don't get in on Rodgers or Brady or Lamar.
And I saw another rumor today of we're talking about conspiracies and people smoking and coming up with stuff. There was another one where the Bears called the Ravens and be like, hey, you send us Lamar, we'll send you Justin Fields and some draft picks.
Yeah, that's a weird scenario too, because the idea is that the Ravens don't want to pay a quarterback. Justin Fields is on a rookie deal. And the Bears want a for sure elite quarterback, and Justin Fields isn't quite developed to that level yet.
The Bears have the number 1 pick. They have $130 million in cap space. They have a lot to do. They can go out there and do. They don't need to go and make dumb trades. Go out there and fix your team to what it needs to be and go.
Well, they should.
That division is easy. Should be up for grabs next year.
They should take a peek over at what the Jaguars did this last offseason and copy.
So fire Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I mean that's a part of it, I guess. But I mean, post the addition of Doug Peterson, everything they did from that point, in my opinion, the Jaguars did the best offseason last year.
I'm going to have to ponder that one, but I like it. I like their offseason a lot.
Let's let the ponder, amigo. You already lost.
Well, because I would put the Lions in that same category, right? I think if you combine the draft and the players they brought in and everything, I think that they had a pretty great offseason too. Ponder,
I think the Lions might be a team that's on the brink of investing a ton too this offseason. We'll see what they do.
We should have a what are you smoking on segment where we just say crazy shit, because I want Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson to team up somewhere. And I think the Colts is a great spot for it, but I don't really want Lamar Jackson to stay in the AFC. So I want to put it Harbaugh and Jackson on the Panthers.
So you want Harbaugh to trade his starting quarterback to his brother when he comes back to the league.
That is genius.
There you go.
Talk about big brain.
You got him, Tony, because gosh, you have something going on there.
I mean, this is a family league, okay?
I got to take off. So I just want to say I like what you're going, and I like where you're going, Tony, and I like the new segment idea. We can do all kinds of crazy stuff, say whatever we need to. So I like it.
Yeah,
literally whatever we want.
A little intro with like Snoop Dogg, just like
our first guest, Aaron Rodgers. Well, we did it, Joe. Outro us, man.
All right, so we'll do another show this week talking about playoffs, because I want to get into the Brandon Staley thing just like you guys do. I know a lot of I think Charger fans are overreacting just a little bit with the injury news. I like what Staley did. I think I like what the Buccaneers did, where you go out there and play your players. But sometimes injuries happen. It's part of the damn game. It happens. But I don't think you wanted to lose the momentum going into the playoffs, because you're not getting a bye week. And I think Charger fans are a little overreacting a little bit, even with that injury. So, anyways, nothing else.
Joe, what you just said just made no sense, and you're just going to leave me here with that? Like, I think it's a good idea for them to play momentum.
It
Let's talk
doesn't
about
matter.
momentum for a second.
We lost momentum still. We lost the game.
The defense had its worst output in 4 weeks. There goes the defensive momentum. The offense had very little momentum built over from that.
And the guy that has to fill in for Mike fumbled on the 10-yard line.
Momentum, no momentum. You were losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars either way.
How, you know what? We're going to put an extra L in Duval when we head down there.
Pull the plug on this thing.